Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to Let's Live with Thurman Greco, which is coming to you from Woodstock Educational Television, Channel 23, in scenic downtown Woodstock, and also from YouTube, Let's Live with Thurman Greco. And we have a guest this evening, and I think you may have figured it out, who is a photographer because there are beautiful pictures all over the space, all over the set today. And we're going to talk about these pictures, and we're going to talk about how they happened. But first of all, I want you to tell people who you are.
Well, thank you, Thurman. Hi, my name is Trish. I'm Trish Lee's Way. My photography is known as Trish Lee's Fine Art Images. And I met Thurman a few years back because I have a pop-up gallery in Woodstock at the beautiful Mowers Market property. And
will you be there one day a weekend, or two this year?
I think I'm going to do two.
You think you're going to do
Saturday
two?
and Sunday, yeah.
I'm going to try to do two
I
as
hope
well.
you do. That would be wonderful, yeah.
So far, everybody that's been on the show is saying that they're going to do two.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
That's good.
we're going to have a really good flea market this summer.
Very
Do you know when it's opening?
May 20th.
May 20th.
Yeah.
So that means that we're going to have a kind of rehearsal before Memorial Day.
I think so, yeah. Like a soft opening.
Now you have such an adorable set at Mowers Meadow. You have, everything is color coordinated. You can always tell it's Trish's, it's her booth because everything is black and white and all the photographs match and even her outfit matches, everything matches, and the dogs come and they match. And then of course there's Annie's rugs, which are beautiful beyond description. And then there's my booth. And somehow when they were passing out descriptions and instructions on how to have a nice booth, guys, I was behind the door. I just didn't have it, and I've given up. It just,
She has a cute booth. Don't let her fool you.
It's pretty junky, but it's okay. I just read cards, and that's I decided not to make it complicated. But when you're next to Trish, you don't really have to worry about it because Trish's booth is going to carry the show. So tonight, I asked Trish to bring some of her artwork, and I think it's important because as people walk through Mowers Meadow, we know that there's this lovely booth and this lovely tent, and it's all color coordinated, and Trish is color coordinated, and then there are a couple of little, little children, feral, children, playing around. I mean, for color, and so that just kind of spreads out for all of us. But nobody really knows the story of these pictures because there is a story. Where did these things come from?
From my creative imagination, and from my heart, actually. Because most of everything you see here is a form of my self-expression, even though it's very universal, and it's a lot of nature shots, a lot of standard type looking nature shots, but each photo expresses a part of my personality and emotional barometer at the time.
And but these are nature shots as well.
This one's a special one because this was the first night of the lockdown of COVID. So it's March 2020, and myself and my husband, we walked to the area, and there was no traffic, and it was very still, and it was very peaceful because it was the first time that we went over here with no cars. So it was amazing. So this is special to me because it's the first lockdown night, and it was just very full of peace and beauty.
Wow.
And then this is also a photo of the Ashokan Reservoir. And with my work, it's I shoot naturally. So what you see is what I saw, pretty much. I don't do Photoshop. I don't put anything in. I don't take anything out. I'm pretty traditional like that, actually. So that's the reservoir. And so these guys are in the same area. You can kind of see they're kind of similar. Just different lighting, different day. One's at night, one's during the day.
Now, when people come to your booth, do they recognize it as the reservoir?
Sometimes they do. Some tourists know that was the reservoir, but lots of times I get a chance to educate the people as to where it is and how they can get there. So that's one thing I really enjoy doing at the market, is telling people where they can actually go, where these locations are, because last year's theme was the Hudson Valley. So my whole pop-up gallery had Hudson Valley photographs in it, and I would tell people how to get to, say, this destination. So, I would tell them this is where it was located and how they can get there.
Wow.
So it's great. And that reminds me, I'll show you the spillway, because I love telling people to go here, because it's a beautiful place. Here, Thurman, you could hold that one. This is a pillow. I make pillows.
And you know what? It's both front and back. It's front and back.
Yes, and this is an outside indoor pillow, so it's beautiful, it's rugged, and it has this image on it. And this image is the spillway, the Ashokan spillway. So when they do the runoff of the water and there gets too much water in there, they run it off, and this is where it runs off to. And so this is just a moment in time, and I was driving by and I saw it, and I had to stop and take a photograph, because it's something I see a lot because it's on my way home, and it was just so strikingly beautiful. So when they come to the market, I like to tell them where this is, because it's only about 20 minutes away from Woodstock.
Now, do you have an opinion this early in the season? Are we going to have a dry summer or a wet one?
I think we're going to have a very hot summer.
A very hot one.
Yes. Good thing I have my travel fan.
Yeah, that's
Right,
another thing. She's got fans in her booth. I don't have fans in my booth.
And I lend them out, don't I, to my neighbors?
Yes. But so far, Eddie's got first dibs in all of them. But that's all right. She's the rug merchant after all. And sometimes you have a guest.
Yes.
At your booth.
I do. I love Dalmatians, and this is Casey. She unfortunately transitioned in December, but she used to always come to the market with me, so she was my little mascot. But I now have Cleo and Cece. So if you come to the market, you'll also be able to play with some very cool Dalmatians.
And they're not all that run of the mill, so they're kind of their own little attraction.
They are,
because there are not that many Dalmatians. How hard was it to find her?
The Dalmatian itself?
Yeah, well, the one that you found.
The first one, Casey, I rescued. She came to me. I rescued her.
Wow.
The second one, I drove to Georgia to pick her up.
Wow.
And a very good breeder called Happy Trails. So if you're ever interested in a very healthy Dalmatian, it's called Happy Trails. And this
is lovely.
This is one of my favorite places. I am originally from Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. I'm what they call a city head up here. Excuse me, no offense. Does this get edited? Just kidding. And this is called Reese Park, and I used to go here as a child, and so it's a special place. And it's in Brooklyn, New York, and it's a beautiful ocean, and it's clean, and it's nice. So I am from Brooklyn, and I moved up here permanently about 14 years ago.
Really?
And I came to Ulster County permanently in 2019.
Wow.
But I've been coming up to the area since I was 4. We had a house in Orange County.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, now what about this one?
Now,
I've always been attracted to that one.
Isn't it? It's a pretty one.
Yeah.
I took this in Lake Osiris, New York, which is in Orange County, also part of the Hudson Valley. And it's a time and place when I took care of my mother. And so it's a lake in which I would go to every day and walk the dog, and I would take a break from caretaking. And so this is just one of those moments after I finished meditating probably, and it was just struck me. It's how I felt at the moment. Oh, I was sitting alone too. So I have small ones there.
And there's a lot of red in that.
Yeah.
In that area.
We have a little teeny one with the leaf. So what else can I tell you? So that's that. You like that one? This is also good. This is a self-portrait. Even though it's not me, it's symbolic of my feelings at the time.
There you were.
Here I am.
Well, what you did is you put yourself in the picture. You put yourself in the picture.
Well, yeah, at the moment, like this tells you like where I was mentally, physically, and emotionally.
Yeah.
You know?
Very interesting.
Do you like that? I like that one. I love playing with fog. I went to the School of Visual Arts, and so they teach you really a lot of different aspects of photography, all the aspects of photography. So I was blessed to go there.
Do you ever do things that people request? In other words, does someone say, will you take a picture of my dog? Will you take a picture of my front yard? Will you take a picture of...
Well, the politically correct answer would be yes. However, I do shoot almost anything. But the front yard, unless there was this beautiful butterfly, I'm not sure grass would stimulate me.
So, that's a very honest answer.
But it's true.
So, yeah.
But,
so
if there's something on that lawn, I would shoot it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but any photographer, well, I should be able to make anything interesting, no matter what it is.
Well, I think you do. You've got a lot of pictures here. And they're all pretty interesting.
So here we have a part of the Saugerties Lighthouse, which is, about 20 minutes from Woodstock, half hour. Right? So, but it's not the lighthouse itself, it's just the vicinity of the lighthouse.
How many people do you think
I
that
love
come
the
to
Saugerties
your
Lighthouse.
tent know anything about the Saugerties Lighthouse?
Only, not many actually, it's unfortunate, but we get a chance to tell them about it. You know?
Well, I sort of
This is what-
see you as providing a lot of information for the people. Because there are a lot of people, when we talk to people, my God, they come from New Jersey, they come from Connecticut, they come from Florida, they come from all over the place.
Rhode Island.
And they don't, if you don't tell them, they're never going to know about the Saugerties Lighthouse or
Right.
the reservoir.
Exactly.
You know?
So it's really nice being able to tell people, because sometimes when you travel, you tend to stay within, 20 miles of your safety zone of where you're staying, but it's nice to be able to tell them, hey, a half hour from here, you could go see this for yourself.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And the
Saugerties
Saugerties
Valley
Lighthouse is
beautiful.
gorgeous.
It's really gorgeous.
And there's nothing like the reservoir.
Don't mind this, I just have to get these over here. Okay.
Now, that one,
Which one?
that one's got a flower that goes with it.
Yes. And these are all Hudson Valley flowers as well. Believe it or not, this was right in my backyard, this flower.
It's and look
So
here.
this is right from the yard, Here you go.
Yeah, and this is lovely.
And it's matching pillows, and this one's very nice and soft.
And this is nice for people to see because now people are kind of going and thinking about their summer furniture and they're thinking about what they're going to get. And so it's nice to know that this is available.
And I love pillows.
What about these? What about these little guys? What about these little 8x8s? What motivated you to do something this size?
Well, my first season, I was only selling 16 by 20s and 11 by 14s. And I thought, to make it affordable for everyone and to make it easier for people to travel home with or even take on a plane. Somebody bought one of my images. I think she was going home to Germany. I think it was Germany. And she was happy because she was able to fit it in her suitcase. It was really cool. This is the same series of the one I just showed you with the fog. This is also another nature self-portrait of mine. I love that one. It's a nice one.
Well, now, what about...
And so the small ones are all, so every big one that I have, I made small. And I really made this so people can travel with it, and so it's easier. And plus, a lot of people that see these small ones, they like putting them up in their foyer or they buy them to, believe it or not, put it up in their bathroom. And at first I was like, should I be excited about that?
Yeah.
But then I thought,
Yeah.
yes, because when you have a party and everything, everyone usually always uses a lavatory, right? And so my art would be seen in people's bathrooms.
Yeah.
So yeah, the small ones really work well in, foyers and bathrooms. And I love making new stuff.
Is this the smallest that you work with?
Yes, I sold out of my coasters and I'm still in the process of getting stuff for this year, but I do make coasters as well.
Is that something that you think you might do this summer?
Yes. And this summer I'm also going to be making dog bones.
Oh, wow.
Organic dog bones.
Tell me about the dog bones.
They're called mama treats and the dogs love them.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
How did you find them?
I make them myself. I just took what's really good for them and made a concoction.
No, but I mean, what, when I say how did you find them, I mean, where did you decide, ooh, dog biscuits? I don't think anybody's doing any dog biscuits.
Because a lot of people that came over to talk to me, and the tent was also, they had dogs. And I had treats for my dog at the time, and then I realized I was giving treats to the customers' animals, and then I thought I might as well sell dog bones since I'm giving them out anyway.
How are you packaging them? Or is it one dog bone, or is it 3 dog bones, or what's the deal?
No, I'm Italian, so I always do more.
Okay, so we're big bags.
Yeah, it's usually 4 bones, 5 bones per bag. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So
they have to make it home on their road trip, right? So you need at least 4 or 5 bones to
right, and they
keep
need
the doggy happy.
Right, they need something to take it home for the dog, so the dog will be happy.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a very good idea.
Yes, I have more.
Oh my goodness! Look at this one. Look at this one.
This is actually special because it's the Woodstock waterfall. There we go. And this is just like when the leaves were coming on, and that's why it has that little yellow tone, because everything was just popping out at that time. You see that? I mean, it popped out, but yeah, it's still coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is one of those icons of Woodstock. So when you drive into Woodstock, you see this. It's beautiful.
Wow. And you process these at home?
I do process stuff at home, but these exact ones I had printed for me because they're all printed on canvas.
Oh, wow.
And they're archival, so they'll last a very, very long time. And there's also a coating on top that protects it from some fading damage.
So these are ready to go. They are ready to hang. If somebody wants to put a frame around them, but even without the frame, they're fine.
Right, they can hang. They all come with a hang behind here, so you could actually just put it right on your wall.
Right. So that's a really lovely thing.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad you like it.
What
I have some pretty flower ones here too.
What was the motivation for the flower line?
I just love color. I love vibrant color. Since I moved up here from the city, I really appreciate the nature around me. So I never lose sight of what a beautiful place I live in. You know, and I'm lucky enough to have the talent to capture the things I see, and I can share it with everyone else. And these are all pretty much local flowers that I found on my travels.
Well, and of course, this is now. This is now.
Yes.
And this is now.
Mm-hmm. These are really pretty.
So really, what we're looking at is about 3 different categories of things, or maybe more. We're looking at florals.
Florals, yes. And then we're looking at, this is a smaller version of the self-portrait I told you about. It's kind of cute.
Actually, the big one of that one to me, because I would imagine that if somebody would stand and actually look at this for like 30 seconds or something, that you're there. Yeah. And that's a wonderful thing. I mean, that's one of the lovelies about art.
Now, this is a special place. I didn't have a large one, unfortunately, to show everyone, but this is Blue Hole, New York, and it's a popular swimming hole. And unfortunately, it got so popular. Now you need a permit to go there.
Oh, really?
Yes. And so this is a beautiful shot of, I don't know these people, but one person was, helping another over the beautiful stone rocks. So to me, it shows togetherness, love, companionship, and I think it's a very poetic photo.
Yeah, it's lovely. There's a lot of people in it, so somebody could put themselves in that photo.
Yeah, it's symbolic of friendship, and like he's helping the guy across the stream. Yeah. And that water is very, very cold water, and you can only go into it for about 5 minutes, and if not, your body starts getting very hot because your body's not used to that type of temperature. It's a very good detoxing experience, actually. You want to try it with me, Thurman?
No, thank you. No, thank you. Not at all.
And here's I did a little series because everybody always looks at flowers, as beautiful and pretty, but I find raindrops on flowers really beautiful.
Yeah. That's lovely.
And so I did a whole series of raindrops on flowers.
Wow. That's lovely.
Thank you, Thurman. It's so nice that you like my work. And this is the other flower that goes with that pillow. See?
Well, when I started deciding that I was going to
Okay.
showcase people from Mowers Meadow, you were definitely top of the list because of the art.
Thank you, Thurman.
Yeah.
It's nice to know my fellow Woodstock Market fellows enjoy my work. And she's given me quite a few tarot readings too.
Have I really?
Yes, and she's been on the money each time. She's really good. Now you're going to be really busy.
Well, that's a fun thing to do when you go on a vacation. You get your tarot cards read.
I think so.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, and you're good at it. Okay, now this is one of my favorites because I'm from Brooklyn, and this is the Brooklyn Bridge in a different perspective.
Oh, wow.
So I really, one of my techniques that I love shooting with is layering. So I always tend to, like, say with this image, you have the Brooklyn Bridge in the background, but then I like the layering in the front. So you still get the vibe of the bridge, right? So you know it's the Brooklyn Bridge mostly, right?
Yeah.
But then you also get the vibe of the environment in which is around the bridge.
Right.
So it gives you more of a story. And I used to be a photojournalist, and so I was trained how to be able to tell a story in one shot, pretty much.
Well, that one definitely does tell a story.
Yeah.
No question about it. And of course, these gorgeous things, they definitely do tell a story as well. I find them, in their own way, a little sad, the flowers.
You do?
Uh-huh.
Because the raindrop makes them be emotional.
And
sad.
because, of the whole climate thing and everything, it's a little sad. But they're gorgeous. They're totally
Thank you.
gorgeous.
We turn the sadness into happy,
Into whatever, yes.
into beauty.
Yes. And so now, do you have any more? Oh, look there. Ooh, the great big one.
Which one? Where?
That one. Ooh.
I think I showed you that one already. Did I? Yeah. Let's see. Did we show you this one? Yeah. I think I show you everything there. Yeah. We did. Okay. I just had this one, but I think I showed you this one already, right? Yeah.
Oh, that one's luscious.
This is a really pretty one.
Are you working on a theme?
I love reflections.
Yes. Are you working on a theme for 2023?
Not really. Do I have a theme? Well, I'm going to keep it a surprise if I do. You like that one? Like I said, I'm new at this pop-up gallery because I used to be a photojournalist. I worked at the New York Times in the city, and when I moved up here, I was a freelancer. But then after COVID, I stopped shooting events, and then I just started doing the pop-up gallery. And what I found is I had a limit. Like sometimes I take very, very complex photographs and very layering, but sometimes I confuse myself, after I take it as well, because it's very interesting, but it looks more like a painting or a puzzle. And so stuff that I do enjoy shooting, I don't believe, I don't think it's understandable sometimes to even myself, even though it looks really interesting. So I think this year I might throw some of my fine art work in there, which is, it's mostly layering. Say you have a reflection in the water and then there's something in the sky. So it makes the viewer have a lot of different things to have the brain stimulated with.
When I think of 2023, the word transition comes to my mind.
Why is that?
Because everybody's in transition.
Okay.
It's the whole everything. Everybody, everything.
Yes.
And that's why we all have to have dogs so that they ground us.
Yeah. I had my first dog in 1999. She was a yellow Labrador. Her name was Sweetie. And when she was 2 years old, she taught me how to stay in the moment.
Did she really?
Yes, because dogs are always in the moment. They're always right there with you. And they don't have worries, they don't have concerns. All they want to do is be with you, love you, and have fun with you.
That's very interesting. I'm blogging a piece about your animals as self-care, and they're unconditional love.
Unconditional love, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, all my animals have taught me,
Yeah.
you know. I love them.
That's part of it. And when I think of your flowers, I think that they are unconditional. The flowers are unconditional, you know.
They're unconditional in their beauty.
Absolutely.
And they'll always be beautiful. It will
Yes.
never change.
Yes.
The beauty never changes.
Right.
Even after a hurricane, or, you know, they still might be standing. You know, and the beauty will still be there after the storm.
And I think
I like that.
I think that's very important, because I think that we don't stop to consider that something that we have doesn't have the permanence that this does. You know?
Yeah. I
You
agree.
know?
That's why I love photography, because it can capture a moment, and it can only take you 20 seconds to capture that moment, but that moment can last on your wall with your family for 200 years.
Right, because they're not going to fade.
No, and you know, in moments, what are life? Life is what? Moments, right?
Right.
And so I feel lucky that I chose photography as my craft, because I'm always just in life capturing moments. Really, that's what it is, right? Once you learn the technical aspects of photography and you know what's going on, how to do it, then it's all about what you want to do. How do you want to do it? What do you want to shoot, right?
Well, photography is not necessarily for everyone.
I guess.
It's really not necessarily for everyone. My oldest daughter is a photographer.
Yeah.
And I have a grandchild that's a photographer. So the photography works for them very well. And I took a photography class, and it just was a bust.
Debacle.
Debacle wasn't, that wasn't, it was a disaster.
Disaster?
Yeah, it was a complete disaster.
Was it the apertures that got you?
Who knows? It was the machine, the camera, it was the room, and it was the chemicals, and everything else, you know, and it was not something that I was destined to do.
Right, that's true.
And I
can be
decided in my naivete that I was going to do this, because after all, my daughter was studying photography. All this photography was around me, and I could probably write a book about all the disasters that I experienced while I was taking that class.
You always make me laugh. I'm sorry, I know I'm on TV. I can't help it. You always make me laugh.
Well, I mean, it was awful.
I'm sorry about that. Just to make you feel better, my head was spinning when my photo techniques class. You know, I didn't know why I needed algebra when I was in high school, but when I got to photo techniques, I realized why. It was all math. It was all math. Like, who thinks that when you're in art school you have to take math, right? I had to take a whole year of photo technique math and all these different equations, because it's all about lighting and the grayscale and all that stuff.
See those things? No.
Well, I don't do a TV show like you, so I'm not sure how good I would be at doing this. Right? I'm still nervous, just so everybody's aware.
Oh no.
Oh, don't be nervous, silly.
No. Well, that's part of the adventure. So what else have you got down there, girl?
Well, there's one thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit. Let's see. I think we saw everything. That I was writing a book, so I wasn't sure if I should talk about my book or not.
Absolutely.
This is the one
Always talk about your book.
Okay, which I
You know, that's the problem that writers have, is many of them don't share. They don't share. And how are people going to know about your book if you don't tell them?
That's true. But where do you think the best place to share is when you write a book?
Right here.
Yes, that's a great answer.
What motivated you to write
She's
a book?
awesome. what motivated me to write my book. I went through an experience that I believe through my experience and challenges that I overcame, that I could teach other people how to overcome challenges of any kind.
Oh, that's good.
So it's actually a book for the masses, I hope, because there's a lot of challenges in the book. And I'm sitting here with you, so I made it through, right? and I'm smiling and pretty happy. And it's a book about taking care of my mom. And I did that from 2013 till 17, and it's called Counting Her Change. Do you like that? Good.
So you were the caregiver for your mother.
Yes, but my mother and I didn't get along my whole entire life. So, and I have other siblings, and I was the least likely candidate to take care of my mom, and I did. And so it was a challenge in every aspect of any human being's, life, but every day I learned that I wanted to like her and not dislike her. So the universe played a funny trick on me, and before she left the earth, I actually liked the lady. And so that it's a book about forgiveness as well, because if I didn't forgive her, I wouldn't have been able to go over and take care of her initially when I got the phone call. So it's a process, and it was a process of forgiveness. And then after that, it's all about the challenges and, getting through challenges that you think you can't get through. And, it's hard taking care of someone that didn't like you your whole life. So here I was making sure her feet were warm and her food was organic and she was in bed at the right time, but when I grew up, she wasn't warming my feet. So it should be a very good book. It's almost finished. And it's going to be at the printing press by June 15th. So I'm hoping to sell that at the market this summer.
You have a date.
Yes, and I have a publishing house, and I have a book editor too.
Amazing.
Wow.
I always miss, I have dates too, and I miss them all. They slip like years. I mean, June 15th. June 15th of what year? 2025, 2029?
Please.
Not you, me. I mean, if I were to give a date, June 15th.
But what I'm not telling the audience is this is my second book, because the first book I wrote, I didn't complete. So I think all artists do that, and this is the second book, and I'm going to, write it to completion. Just because I really think I could help a lot of people, because there's a lot of dysfunction in this transitional world, right? And it's a book of hope when you feel like you don't have any left.
And what was the first book about?
It was about a girl from New York City who went to the middle of Minnesota and got a job in a small town newspaper, and her 3 years living in a small town. It was the opposite of a small town girl coming to New York.
Oh my God. What an adventure.
Yeah.
And you stayed 3 whole years.
I did.
Oh man, I don't think I'd make it 3 weeks.
Though it taught me how to not be in a rush. Because being from New York City, I was always in a little bit of a rush.
Yeah.
And the line was always taking too long, and people were taking too long to serve me. And so by staying there, I was able to learn how to not be a New York City person that needs to rush around all the time. It taught me patience, and, life is not meant to be lived.
How did you get that
running
job?
Running all around all the time.
How did you get that job?
As the photo department in this newspaper?
Yeah.
I just applied for it, and I was working at the New York Times at the time. I was at 9/11, so I moved away just to take a little bit of a mental break afterwards.
And you took off.
Yeah.
And how long did you stay? You stayed there 3 years.
Yes, almost. To be totally 2 years and 11 months.
2 years and 11 months.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you were given an opportunity, would you return?
To visit?
No.
I do visit. Would I do it over again?
Yeah.
Yes, I would. Because I met
Very
such
nice.
incredible people there.
That's amazing.
And it was actually easier for me to get to know people in the Midwest than it is for me to get to know people on the East Coast.
Now, when you returned to Brooklyn, or wherever.
I was living in the West Village, yeah.
Okay, when you returned to the West Village, how hard was it to adjust to your return?
Well, it took me 2 weeks to get a job. I started working at Getty Images, so I got very lucky, and it only took me 2 weeks to start working again. But to get back into New York City, I would say it took me about 6 months.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. And how
Yeah.
long did it take you to get into the Midwest? When you showed up,
3 years.
the whole 3 years, and then you went back to the city, and it took you a few months.
I love you guys. No, well, in other words, I loved it there, but the reason why I didn't stay is because I knew me and who I was and my creativity and my passion and my energy, that I wouldn't be happy in this small town of 15,000 in the middle of Minnesota, only knowing a handful of people that I met there. So it was great for me as an independent woman to learn how to be emotionally independent, because when I moved out there, I didn't know anyone. So it wasn't like I had family out there. I went there for the job. Yeah. So it was interesting. It's funny, and I missed home. And when I moved, it actually gave me a wonderful appreciation of Manhattan again. Because when I left, I got tired of all the stuff that New York is. We have just cause not to like stuff about Manhattan and Brooklyn. There's stuff about the city that could be a little bit better, but that stuff grinds on you after a while. When you work there day in and day out, the stuff that's a little icky grinds on you. So when I left, it was a new refurbishing of my love for New York City. So when I came back, and when I say it took me 6 months, it took me 6 months to get up the energy to walk as fast as everybody was walking on the sidewalk. Because by then I learned how to relax with my walk.
You didn't just get right back into that gait instantly.
No.
You had to adapt yourself. Very, very interesting. That is a total surprise to me. I would think that if you had spent all that time in the New York City area and then you went over there for 3 years, when you came back, I would think you said, "Oh, I'm back."
Well, I did go, "Ooh, I'm back."
Yeah. And
I went to all the restaurants I've missed for 3 weeks in a row. I went to every single restaurant that I missed when I was, away in the Midwest, and I was eating bagels and pizza I never had them before.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you have a car out there?
Of course, yeah. It's just like here, you need a car to get around. Yeah.
But you didn't have a car in the city.
No, not most of my no.
So when you got out there, you had to buy a car.
I bought a car before I left.
You bought a car before you left, and drove that car
To
west.
Minnesota, to Albert Lea, Minnesota, southern Minnesota.
How long had you had your car when you drove to Minnesota?
4 months.
4 months.
Less than
So
that.
you actually learned to drive your car when you got to Minnesota, on the way to Minnesota.
I guess you could say that.
Yeah.
But we, being from Brooklyn, someone's parents always lent the cars out, so we were always driving somewhere.
Yeah.
And being from Bay Ridge, we were 15 minutes away from Coney Island, 25 minutes away from Breezy Point, 20 minutes away from Manhattan. So it was a very cool place to be raised as far as culture and being able to actually explore when I was a teenager. And then when we started driving, going to the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel was scary. The first time you're driving through it.
Yeah. And so now you're back.
Now I'm back.
And the story of going there, you did not finish that book.
No, because this book is more important. Counting or Change is more important because it was the hardest thing I think I'll ever do. And it was so hard at one point. I thought I was gonna, take my own life, to be totally honest, because it was intolerable emotionally. But that was only that one night when I thought I couldn't make it through, and I made it through. Not that I would ever do anything like that, but I felt very alone, and I didn't feel like I had the proper answers to make my mother's life the best it could be, and if I was doing the right thing with my life, because I had to stop my life to take care of her. I wasn't being a photographer during that whole time, except for my own personal photography, on my downtime. But my mother had dementia and I couldn't leave her alone for more than an hour. So I was kind of like a prisoner of her house.
Professional caregivers who interview for the job and get hired, they have their references checked or whatever. they have the luxury of choosing the situation. And they also have the luxury of walking away if they don't like it. I run across a lot of people that are in caregiving situations that are less than optimal. And quite often I tell them, listen, just go find another one. The person is not compatible with you, or maybe you're not compatible with the person, just, But when it's your mother, you don't have that option.
Right.
It's a completely different situation.
Truly is. One in which I never thought I'd be in.
What do you think happened in your early life that prepared you to take on that job?
I would say learning how to practice forgiveness with everyone I come in contact with. But really, I think the first, foremost, most important thing is learning how to love yourself, self-love.
I don't think of it so much as self-love as I think of it as self-care.
Well,
I think
self-love is,
yeah,
self-care is a category of loving yourself.
If you can't get into the self-care bit, life is really hard. You really have to take care of yourself.
But if you don't love yourself, right?
Well,
you kind of lose that want to take care of yourself. So I had to establish a true love of myself, who I really am, how I really think, how I really perceive life. And because I think I was at that point that I loved myself in a very healthy way, I was able to go love someone who never loved me. But like I said, the day she passed and I went to the hospice, I actually cared about her, and that was a shock to my system.
Well, you had been taking care of, how long did you take care of her?
4 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah. And she couldn't be left alone with anyone because she wasn't nice.
Well, by the time, if you were with her the last 4 years, she had probably had dementia for a while before you got there.
Right.
You didn't come along at the opening chapters of that story.
I don't think so, no.
Yeah. So you got the hard time.
I did, but it was worth it because I'm writing hopefully a really good book that could, like I said, help people that feel like they can never talk to their mother or father or sister or brother again, and they can. There's hope. Like, I don't think you should give up on people, and that book is pretty much saying that as well. But it was very traumatic too, because a lot of weird stuff happened when I was there.
What does that mean?
A lot of surreal, very interesting hurdles I had to jump over.
Mm-hmm. And also, I would assume that if you were there for several years, that when you got there, you encountered this person. And maybe 6 months down the pike, that person was different.
Yes.
Or 3 months, after a passage of time.
About a year after I was there, she changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the first year I was there, she thought I was poisoning her food every day.
Yeah. And how did she get over that?
I think she finally, because she was seeing me every day, because she wasn't 100% dementia. My mother was still available, in her brain waves, and I think seeing me every day, it just became a safety for her. So I think once she felt safe, which she probably didn't experience in her lifetime, that's when she started opening up. Maybe she's not that bad of a daughter, Maybe she's a pretty good person after all.
It's hard.
She had mental illness her whole life, but in her generation, I think she was too ashamed to say she needed help.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know either, really.
Possibly in her generation, there was no help to receive.
Maybe.
Now we do have drugs, and we have different things, therapies that people can experience that they did not have before then. I don't know when I don't know how far back it goes, but I know that in the 20th century there wasn't much mental health care.
And there wasn't awareness about it at all, right?
No.
Nobody talked about it, right.
And when I think about, I talk almost on a daily basis, not for long periods of time, but for short periods of time. I do find myself talking to people who will tell me, well, I'm bipolar. And, back in the 20th century, that word was not in our dictionary.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
I don't know whether she had bipolar, but I was using that as an example.
Right.
If she had that problem, and I can remember as a young woman, as a young girl, dating a guy that was bipolar. And I knew there was something a little strange about him because I'd never known anybody like that before. But at the time, it was just, oh, well, Nicholas just,
That's just Nicholas.
Yes, just Nicholas. And Nicholas was very intelligent. And he was quite popular, but, So that, you had that was possibly something that you had to overcome in the care, One of the things that I'm looking forward to in your book, and I feel like, I hope that you will be able to tell the truth in such a way that people will realize that they are reading the truth. I took care of an older relative, and I was unprepared for what showed up at my door, and I can remember going to the library and checking out every book that there was. And this was in Northern Virginia, so we had a very large, lovely, wealthy public library. And then I went to the different bookstores and I bought everything. And I began to read all of these things. And I don't think that any of the books that I read
prepared you for what you were in
No,
for.
they were, I don't know, maybe they did, but they didn't prepare it in such a way that I read what I believed was a shred of truth.
Right.
And I still believe that there's not I still read books and there's not a shred of truth.
Well, that's one thing about me is I enjoy being an authentic person.
I know that. I know that. That's why we're talking about that.
I know. I really enjoy it. It's such a freeing way of living. Just being authentic and honest and real. Most people tell me they don't meet people like me, and I know why. It's just because I'm genuine. I just say it as it is, and I don't add or take away from anything.
That's why I'm really hopeful about your book. I'm hopeful that when you get it finished, you'll come back in here and we can talk about it.
That would be wonderful.
And spread the word if it's real.
It's absolutely real. Can I tell you? It's called Counting or Change, and I said it's a novel based on truth, sprinkled with imagination. So it's all based on truth, but maybe I might make a story up here and there. Maybe something funny, maybe something something. So that's how I'm putting it. It's all true, except for little stories I make up here and there.
Well, sometimes you have to do that, to kind of lighten the load. But I think it's important not to lighten the load too much. Oh
no, I'm not gonna.
And I'm having a guest soon come in. She has written a book about dementia and Alzheimer's, and what is the difference between the two. And I'm hopeful that she will be kind of honest. I've only run across really one person that has written the truth about it. And he's a man, I'm not going to say his name, he's a poet here in Woodstock. And he really would not let me, I got to glance at his book, and he wouldn't let go of it. But he did talk a lot about feces on the floor.
Yeah,
that's part of it.
It's part of the journey.
Uh-huh.
Thank God I was blessed. The French lady That's my mother was 100% French, and I called her the French lady. So in the book, she's called the French lady, and thank God, as far as that, the bodily functions, I didn't have to deal with that.
You're very fortunate.
I was very fortunate.
You are
In that way, yeah, I was.
Well,
I
I know
lucky.
that you have this spine that's, stainless steel. I know it's back there.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that you were probably fully capable of taking care of anybody that you needed to take care of.
Apparently, I shocked myself taking care of her.
Well, and
I wasn't prepared, just like you said before. I wasn't prepared, but I don't think anyone is ever going to truly be prepared because you don't know what's going to happen while you're caretaking.
well, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I mean, if that's
true.
what you mean. If that's what you mean,
No, I mean, you don't know the temperament of the person from day to day.
right? Or if the hour to hour or
Right.
whatever,
Yes. Yes.
So that makes it a challenge. Well, how can people find your book when you get it? Can they contact you?
I will be selling it at the market. Also, my publisher's house, which is called Cora Press, she's going to be selling it as well. I think I'm going to put it on Amazon. I'm not really sure. Everything's with that part is still being worked out, so I don't want to give people the wrong information. But I think this is what I'm planning on doing, and then I'm also going to sell them at the market. And I'd like to have a book opening at the little beautiful bookstore we have in Woodstock. And then I'd like to go to Manhattan and try to sell some books there somehow. I figured if I stand in front of the Strand and I just start selling my books, I can probably get some pretty good clientele in front of the Strand, right? Do you know the Strand? You know the Strand?
Yeah, I know where the Strand is. And also, the Strand is back here. And then if you walk around the side and you come along the front, then you've got...
Grace Church?
No, you've got...
Oh, that's the other block.
Whole Paycheck.
Oh,
Whole Earth.
right.
And they've got a nice wide sidewalk, big
That's
wide
true.
sidewalk.
I could do it there.
Yeah,
Do you want to come?
I would love to, but yeah, listen, you could talk about that, and then I'll talk about, hunger.
That would be
They
that
would
would be
buy
wonderful.
They would buy your. I've already learned, girl. People don't buy books about hunger, not unless they are a person of the cloth.
Isn't that sad?
I know.
That's a whole nother interview.
That's a whole other
that's not
thing,
even talk-
you know.
Yeah.
It's okay, but having your first book is a really wonderful adventure.
It's very exciting, and I'm also going to have a website that's going to be available. So I have to come on again, so I can tell everybody the book's website. And then my photography website right now is being worked on, but I do have a website, and it should be running. Hopefully I want to have it running the same day of the opening, by May 20th. And should I tell them?
Yeah.
The website is Trish Lease Fine Art Images .org. I'm pretty sure.
And that's the books and the art.
Right now it's just the art, but then I'm going to slap another website onto that, so you can link onto the book from my photography website.
Wow. Very good, girl.
So it should be good. I wanted to have a cover and everything, but it wasn't ready with the printing press yet, so I don't have a cover at the moment. But next time I come, I will.
You know what? The stuff never ready when they say it's going to be.
I know. It's just like construction. If they give you a week, you better take 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm working on a book now that I thought was going to be out a couple of months ago, and maybe it'll be out in 2024.
Well, I hope it comes out sooner than that.
No, I don't think it will.
No? What's your book about?
My book is about the birth of Jesus.
That's cool. From your perspective.
Well, more of a historical perspective.
Oh, okay. It's
You
very
know?
interesting, yeah.
Yeah, history.
I love history.
Yeah, kind of like the real thing. Yeah.
You know why I like history? Because it's based in truth most of the time.
We have got 5 minutes left.
Oh.
So what would you like to say in 5 minutes? Okay, let's start off with somebody needs to find a flower. So where are we going to go to get the flower?
You're going to come to Mowers Market on Saturday and Sunday between the hours of 10. We stay late, don't we?
Yeah.
We like Annie, myself, and Thurman. We like to be one of the last people wrapping up.
Yes.
So we usually stay till, I don't know,
Whatever.
whatever, we're open. And we'll be there Saturday and Sunday from Memorial Day till it gets cold in October. But even when it gets cold, I have a little heater. So in the summer we have fans, and in the winter, well, October, in the fall, I have a heater, and I also make hot cider. Do you remember that? I was
Yes.
passing out hot cider to everybody.
And then we have our little free range child.
Talking about Sophia.
Sophia, yes.
Oh, yes, and then we have beautiful Sophia that adopted me and Annie and Thurman.
Yeah.
And she visits us every Sunday, and she comes and she adds beautiful sprinkles of joy and playtime and
Yeah.
what did you call it? The straggler? What did she call it?
Feral.
The
You know? And she's beautiful. And she really, you know?
Sorry, like that's true. You called her feral, but yeah, she is kind of feral.
Yeah.
You know. But
But
what I
you
find
know-
fascinating, there's so many people at this market. She came to my tent.
Yeah. And you know what,
What
I
does
think?
that mean?
You know what I think about her is if you look at her and if the light is just right,
She's beautiful.
she's got wings back there.
She really is a beautiful creature. Her name is Little Sophia, and if you come
And
visit us, you'll meet her too.
No, but she's got little wings back there, you know.
I think she does.
Yeah, I think she does.
Yeah.
And she's great.
She's great because she gets me to like buy her stuff at the market, and then I take her to Maria's Pizzeria and I buy her pizza.
I think what we're trying to say is that when you come to the market, it's a community.
It's truly a community.
It is a true community.
Yes,
And every moment is precious. And so there will be books.
There will be books. There will be us. There will be
us,
artwork. There will be Dalmatians.
Right, there will be Dalmatians.
Dog treats.
Yes, all of those things.
Organic, all organic.
Yes, all of those things.
Organic fun.
And-
Organic artwork.
And now she's standing up. So thank you very much, Ellen.
Thank you,
Don't run
Ellen.
away. Thank you very much. Thank you. You were
Thank
wonderful.
you, Thurman. Thank you, Thurman.
Is it over?